If y'all didn't get a sheet, make sure you have a sheet. I want you to have those to take notes on, to look at. It has everything that I want you to have in your hands to take home with you. So if you don't want to take notes, at least you've got some of my points tonight. If you have your Bibles or you want to just start with me with the scripture, Psalm 127, verse 3. Children are a gift from the Lord.
Yes, they are.
Sometimes you'll wonder.
No return.
Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from Him. Children born to a young man are like arrows in a warrior's hands. How joyful is the man whose quiver is full of them. He'll not be put to shame when he confronts his accusers at the city gates. Arrows and children. Arrows and children. We need to understand what the Lord was telling us when He was talking about children are like arrows. They're like arrows, and I'll get to more of that later, but let me just start with something that I found very, very cool. This week, the last couple of weeks, I've been doing some premarital counseling. And a couple was in my office. They've been raised in Christian homes. And they were asked a question in our counseling. And this question is, what values do you want to instill in your children while raising them? What values do you want to instill in your children while raising them? Well, that's a question that was asked them before they're married. And I'm getting them to think, because when you get married, you need to both have a set of values that are similar. Yeah. Or if not exactly the same, or you're going to have an issue. Yeah. Let me read what they wrote. Here's what they said. The values they wanted in their children: to work in excellence, to be patient, kind, considerate, to honor their father and mother, to love the Lord, and to be intelligent. Amen. Went on, the other one said, church is a priority. They want to instill it. Church is a priority, saying, ma'am and sir, we only miss church because of sickness and emergencies. Life is a gift. Living in and being a natural-born citizen of the United States is a blessing. I want to instill in them to look people in the eyes while talking. Boys, hold doors open and offer to help others. And thank veterans for their service. And I asked if it was all right if I read those. The couple that I was having the premarital counseling with was James Snellgrove and Aubrey Wilson, which will be married here briefly. And I just want you to know that it's important that all of those things are instilled, and there's a whole bunch more, but those are a good list. And I just thought I would share, because those are two products of this teaching here at Christian Ministries. You know, arrows, something about arrows are that they're launched. They're launched. They're not made to stay with you. They're made to get away from you into something else. And so if an arrow is launched and an arrow is made a comparison in Scripture to a child, I want to ask you, parents, are you ready to launch your children? You say, well, I don't even have any yet. Okay, well, arrows are coming your way. And when they get there, you've got to know that when they get here, you need to know that they're not staying there. Yeah. You have a short time, and the older I get, I realize how short that time was. You have a short time to prepare them for launch. So the ages 0 to 10 is really important for parents. So I want to talk about this tonight, because I think it's really important. If we're talking about how we're going to be at home, you've got to know that children are having a foundation laid for them. And so from 0 to 10, you are laying a foundation of principles for a child's life. what is of God and what is not of God. God's love. You're laying a foundation of God's love. You're laying a foundation of forgiveness. You're laying a foundation of faith during this age. So I've taught this for years, and I'm going to go about it a little different tonight than I've ever taught. But I got to go through the 4 stages, if you will, of parenting, because there's stages that we can assign ages to. So from about 0 to 5, you're in what we call the discipline stage. And then that is just a time where discipline seems to be every time you turn the corner. I'm so tired of this. Well, you're in that stage. 0 to 5, 0 to 5. The second stage is training, the training stage. That's from about 5 to the age of 10 or 12, and I use 10 to 12 because every child kind of matures at a different rate, and some of you are contributing to which rate they're on, 10 or 12. But you have a responsibility in that. So from about age 5 to 10 or 12. The third is the coaching stage. And that's from about, let's say, 12 to 18. And then the fourth stage, which is where I'm at now, and I've been through all the other 3, and I'm in what they call the friendship stage, and I really want to go back to some of them. And I don't know that there's anybody that gets to the 18 up age group with your kids that you don't have some things that you go, I didn't finish. My wife, when we got married, would tell my mom all the time, you didn't finish him out. So you're training, you're coaching, you're teaching, you're disciplining. And your training should follow the child the rest of their life. Your training will follow them. We give ages here of a child, and we say, okay, they're in this stage, they're in this stage. But I want you not to look at the child's age as much as I want you to look at it as a timeline for you to get your job done. Yeah. You got 5 years to get them disciplined so that they can be trained. Then you got about 7 years to get them trained so they can be coached. Then you've got about 6 years to get them coached so they can become your friend. We get these things all out of whack and we don't understand they're in order. You start out in their life, I'm going to call this first part the era of the don'ts. The era of the don'ts. You're going to feel like you're saying don't all the time when they're in that 0 to 10 range. Don't scratch that. Don't eat that. Don't pick that. Don't eat what you just picked. Don't jump, don't run, don't bite, don't hit, don't interrupt me, don't say that, quit running. Come on, are you following me? I was just like, good grief, that's the don't era. Foundational training teaches a child what they are not to do. You don't do that. You don't do that. You are instilling in them knowledge during that from birth to 10, and discipline and training in that order will allow them to know what they are not supposed to do. It will also allow them to learn what things will benefit them. Oh, I didn't get disciplined. I must be able to do that. See, I didn't get told don't do that, so I can do that. Here's the problem. When you don't say don't do that, and they should have not done that, you told them they could. And it's just an important thing to understand because you're giving them knowledge on how to function in life. See, you discipline to train. It's during this time frame that you've got to get this into them, and you're going to have a hard time teaching what functions go after that if you miss discipline and training. And we've got a lot of parents of teenagers trying to discipline and trying to train when they should just be coaching and teaching. So it's important that we get those, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time on them because I think it's important over the next couple of weeks that you hear from some other teachers here on this topic. But we have to be teaching during the teaching stage. We just we've got to understand the importance of this. During the coaching or during the teaching, and I'm going to call coaching and teaching the same stage, during that time, you are applying what you received during the training stage. You're applying knowledge. That's what you're doing. You're applying knowledge. This is where wisdom really kicks in. It's where vision is instilled. Wisdom kicks in during the coaching, during the teaching stage. See, you've been trained, so then you make the application of that training and you function. What do you mean I was trained? I was trained. You don't wear that. It's cold outside. So you were trained not to wear that. It's cold outside. Then you get into the coaching stage or the teaching stage and you put on something that is not representative of warm, and it's cold outside, and you should have already been trained. So what do? You let them go cold. Oh, you would do that to your child? You bet. See, we're not allowing coaching to have failures based on their consequences. It's their consequence, not yours. We're owning all of this for our kids, and then they get to be an adult and they have no idea how to face life. We're graduating kids from college who have all this knowledge and they have absolutely no wisdom. They don't know how to apply knowledge. Applying knowledge is wisdom. That's what it is. Wisdom, you can just write this definition down. It's the correct application of knowledge. We've got a lot of kids that know right and wrong, but during the coaching years, they were never allowed to suffer the consequences of right and wrong because mom and dad just took care of it all the time. I never let them make a mistake in their teenage years, and they never had the application of their knowledge because mom and dad just kept training and didn't coach. You are not playing the game for your child at 14. They're playing the game. See, 12 to 18, we should be preparing them for life. Let me say this. You should be preparing them for marriage, getting them ready, equipped for marriage. You're raising somebody else's husband or somebody else's wife. And I'm telling you, if you're raising a son, then you should be raising a husband for someone's wife. And if you're not getting them ready for that wife's not going to be happy with you. Like I said, you didn't finish them off. There just seems to be very little modeling from parents of what marriage is. It seems parents are trying to fill every moment of a child's life with something that will just occupy their time, instead of them occupying their time and modeling life. When you, the parent, are not teaching them how to do life, then at 18, you've got to know this. Something will occupy their time and teach them how to operate. Something will. We're wasting the time we have with our kids, and they're at 18, and we're like, where did all the time go? You knew when they were born you had 18 years. So we've got to be intentional with our parenting. We are wasting time, and we're not instilling in our children how to function in life with a wife, with a husband, with money, with a job, how you entertain yourself. We just set a child in front of a screen and let them fill the time. Parents, we've got to be the screen for our child. We can't let a screen take our place. Without a parent filling the time coaching them, what hope does our child have of getting our values instilled in them? They don't. We've got to get them ready to go out, be effective in life, and it takes time. They're going to be launched. My question is, are you going to do it like this, or are you going to hit something? See, how are you going to launch? During the training time, you're talking about Jesus, you're sharing Jesus, you're praying, you're modeling Jesus. During that time, you're giving to others, you're helping others, you're letting them see, and you're taking them with you while you're doing it. Let's go serve and put up the chairs at church, and they're right beside you. Not during the discipline stage, not 2 and 3, 4 and 5-year-olds that cannot.
Right. Yeah.
You have your child at 7, 8 years old walking right beside you. and you're training them by you doing it. But we ought to have some 14-year-olds that are carrying the chairs and dad's walking right beside them. Coaching him. Good job, son. Man, you got 4 chairs in each arm. I watch some of these young people carry 4. Adam, you've done a good job. I watched that I don't know how you do it. 4 chairs in one. What? Have you ever seen Adam do it? Where does Adam get all those muscles? I don't know. But he modeled them for his son, and now his son. See, I just watch these things, and I'm watching, and I'm going, wow, okay, that happens because we trained, we set the example, we did it all, and then we coached while they were doing it. So during the training time, everything that has to do with godliness, you're doing, and they're watching. But then during the coaching, during the teaching time, they're doing it with your guidance. They're praying, they're sharing Jesus, they're giving, they're helping, they're serving. They're living in the fruit of their own decisions. And you're giving them an attaboy, good job, young lady. You're doing all of that, but you're coaching them on. And you're not living, getting them out of trouble. If they get in trouble, they're in trouble. Parents getting their kids out of trouble every time they turn a corner, saving them, enabling wrong behavior. We've got parents that are allowing kids to not live in the consequences of their actions. Can I say this? Don't bail your child out when you're coaching them. They fouled out of the game and you're not going in and playing for them. You're the coach. They're out. See, you've got to get them understanding the importance of consequences, good and bad. You've got to teach them that they sowed to this. Come on, if we understand the principle of sowing, then you've got to teach them when they mess up, you sowed to this, and I'm not getting you out of it. I'm not pulling strings for you. I'm not teaching you how to sin and get away with it. I'm going to teach you that the wages of sin is death, and I'll cry with you through it. I'll hug you through it. I told my kids over and over in every consequence, even in my own discipline of them, you did this. I hate that I have to do this. They did that. You did this. No one is doing this to you. I just can't believe what you're doing to them. No. They did it. And you need to understand that. See, I told you if you were late and you missed your curfew, then we had an agreement of what the wages of that would be. Do you understand how you can preach a biblical principle here? I was not late. You were late. We already had an agreement of what the wages were. Therefore, you're not driving. Your keys are here. Whatever the consequences, there's a wage to you not doing it the way you had said you would. If we see children as an arrow, and an arrow is always intended to be launched, then you need to always know that it will never sit and do nothing. It's going somewhere. And when you launch them, they ought to have an intended destination. We release them. They're out from under our covering and authority, and they come under God's covering and authority, or they don't. And you've got to know that they're going to hit how you launch them. So if you're launching them for a target and you have them all prepared, the feathers are right, the shaft is straight, and that thing shoots, it's going to go exactly where you aimed. So what is your target? If we're shooting for, and we have a target, then we ought to know where they're going to end up, right? Here's what happens. We just get to 18, and they can just do whatever they want. I don't care. You should have. You are the one launching them. See, there was a launching going on, and you ought to have a target intended. So what's your target, Christian parent? What's your target? Let me give you your target. Love God and love others. I was talking to David Hilton this morning, And we were sending text messages back and forth of quotes about parenting, because I told him I was going to be teaching this on Wednesday night, and he just filling me up with them. And he said, tell him this, without vision, there is no vision. That's a good quote, David. So I thought I'd tell you. Yeah, we always know without vision people perish, but how about without vision, there's no vision? Without a target, you're not shooting at anything. See, you've been under my covering. Parents, you're saying this to your children. You've been under my covering. You've honored me. You've loved me. Now you love and honor God as you leave my covering, and you're in a position where you can do that. I've done that for you for 18 to 20 years. You had them. Then when they are released from the covering, they'll obey God the way they obeyed you. I've watched this time and time again. I watch kids turn 18, and it never surprises me when they obey God the same way they obeyed their parents. You just need to know that. However your kids are obeying you is how they're going to obey God. So let's take this serious. If they're obeying you, then they'll obey God. They'll be prosperous. They'll be happy. They'll be successful. They'll know where they're headed. But they got to be taught. I mean, are you teaching your kids, do unto others the way you would have them do unto you? Are you telling them this is how you treat people? Do unto others the way you would have them. Do unto others the way you would have them do unto you. Not do unto others the way they did to you. But that's what it seems like a lot of parents are teaching. Anyone ever raise a kid and hear, they hit me first, they bit me first, and you need to know by the flesh, they know to do unto others as they do unto you. They get that. The woke culture is do unto others before they do it unto you. I mean, we're headed in that direction. So we have people who cannot forgive because they've been done wrong. They were never made to forgive. They were never taught. They were never coached. They were never trained. They were never disciplined to forgiveness. And so we have this do unto others principle all messed up. Come on, we got to teach to forgive the friend who gossiped and treated you wrong. Love God and love others. You're aiming at love. You're aiming at loving God and loving others, and therefore you base your life on His principles. All right, the friendship stage. I really want to spend some time here, and here's how I'm teaching this tonight. The reason I want to teach this is because I want to go from what we're headed towards, the target. The target, love God, love others. When you love God and love others, you can be friends with people. So if we're heading toward the friendship stage and we're shooting these arrows, we're shooting our kids to a place that when we hit the target, that target should be a friendship. Here's the thing. We all have had areas that we may have messed up, but there's a releasing going on, and I want you to know that I had a hard time with this the first few years. My daughters are now 29 and 31. And here's what I can tell you about them. They aren't totally done yet. And I'm not either. I am a continual work in progress. And we all are. My work for their lives ended at 18. It's a hard one for everybody to hear. But I want to talk about this. As a friend, and you're moving into the friendship stage, you have to understand some things here. And I'm going to use 18 to 20 once again. I'm going to give a 2-year kind of cushion here so we don't have to say a specific date. But many of us have, okay, let me just ask, how many of us have adult children? Okay, good. So we've got some adult children's parents here today. Parents, over the next few weeks, those that didn't raise their hand and they're a parent, you're going to get some nuggets of how to raise your kid in the discipline stage and the training and the coaching and a lot of 1, 2, 3s. And I want to talk about all of those. However, tonight, I want us to talk about the target where we're going to be. And if we haven't hit it exactly, how we can move that arrow to bullseye. How we can get that where we want it. All of us all of us have shot our children into the world that are that are parents with grown adult children. And our goal was for them to love God and love others. Now, you may not have done that real well the first few years. You may not have got on it till the end, and maybe you messed the whole thing up. And so how do I deal with my adult children now that they're adults? When a child turns 20, a lot of issues with parents and children that are just unnecessary. Now, if you are here tonight and you're like, I am not a parent with adult children, don't tune me out because you're a child of some set of parents. You can take what I'm talking about tonight and understand the areas that you can help your parents with and make a difference. See, we've all got work to do. So, what can we do to make this happen? I want you to hear me tonight. There's a lot of adult parents who would like a closer relationship with their adult children. You hear adult a lot, adults. There is a reason why children avoid parents. Can I let that marinate for just a second? There's a reason. See, I think that there's a lot of people who think it's normal for children to flee their parents. Well, they got out of the house. Of course, they just flew the nest. They're out, they're gone. And they're not talking, they're not visiting. I'm not sure that that's a way that I want to see it. I don't know about you, but I'm not really good with that. So I believe that your children should be a part of your inner circle of friends. Parents, hear me. I believe that your children should be a part of your inner circle of friends. And we desire that, Michelle and I. So I know that that's the case. Then why do they flee and why do they avoid? I had to answer that for myself because I felt like that I was like chasing them down so they'd hear what I had to say. And you need to know that I'm teaching this tonight for the first time at my kids being 29 and 31. I would say the friendship stage when I was teaching parent, and I said, I'm figuring that one out. Because I didn't have anything to say about it. But I'm starting to see some fruit here, and I feel like I can teach something on it now. So let me just tell you what I have been doing, and I'm just going to share with you my heart. I believe that the main reason most parents are dealing with their children avoiding them is because you have never cut the parental cord. You understand that there's a cord to be cut when they come out of the womb. For them to have life. There's a cord to be cut when they move out of the first 3 stages into the friendship stage. And you either cut that when they get married or you cut it between the ages of 18 and 20, and you have to transition. See, 1 through 5, discipline, discipline, discipline. Discipline, discipline. I'm tired of discipline. Discipline some more. Discipline, discipline, discipline. When they turn 5, 6 to 12, you are training. Okay, come here, watch me. Come here, come with me. Try this. Here, do this with me. We're going to do this all together. Then you get to the time where you're teaching and you're coaching them and you're coaching and you're teaching and you're teaching and you're teaching and you're bragging and you're good job. And I wouldn't have done it quite like that. And you're coaching. And then transition. I want to be careful. I really want to be careful tonight because this can make people feel real uncomfortable. And when you get uncomfortable, here's what you need to know. I get bold. And when I get bold, I find myself attacking you being uncomfortable. And I don't want to do that tonight. So I want to be very careful tonight that I don't get bold and you don't get uncomfortable. But the reason we get uncomfortable is because the truth is we have become comfortable with lies. I'm just telling you, we're lying to ourselves. Why do kids avoid parents at 18, 19, 20 years of age? Here's why: because of your constant criticism and fault finding. When I heard someone, and I'll tell you who it was, Dwayne Sheriff, tell me that for the first time, I didn't want to hear it. And I was uncomfortable and he got bold. And I just want you to understand that you may not want to hear it, but no one wants to be around someone who criticizes all the time. How many here have a friend that you just can't wait to hang out with because they're going to criticize you? I'm guessing no one. No one wants to do this. You'll never have a friend very long if over time you are around them and they spend their time criticizing, fault finding, and putting you down. Children avoid their parents for fear of judgment of their life choices or their lifestyle choices. Now hear me. Adult children fear that you're going to condemn them and condemn all their choices. And maybe you want to. The fact is, well, I'm not saying anything. Your face said everything. You're saying it. And so you just got to know that adult children don't want to be condemned. See, you want them to be a doctor, but they chose another profession. You want them to spend money here and they spend it there. You wanted them to buy this car and they bought that one. You want them to live in this place and they lived in that one. You wanted them to go with you, but they went with them. You wanted them to do this. You just fill in the blank and they did that. Come on, if you're an adult parent, you know you've seen that. If you're a child, you've done it to your parents. Every one of us have had to deal with this, and I can go on and on and on. But for time, I'm not going to keep giving examples. You fill in the blank. You need to understand you cannot condemn life choices, constantly condemning them, and be their friend. Well, I'm not their friend, I'm their parent. You should have thought about that when they were in high school and you were trying to be their friend instead of their parent. See, we mess these stages up, and so we get into this friendship stage, and we're trying to jump back into the others, and I understand this. There's a controversial scripture about all of this, Luke chapter 14, verse 26. If you want to be my disciples, you must by comparison hate everyone else. Your father, your mother, wife, your children, your brothers and sisters, yes, even your own life. Otherwise, you cannot be my disciple. You know how many true disciples we have in church? Very few. We have seekers and we have converts, but we don't have people making other disciples, and the definition of a disciple is someone who makes a disciple. And we've got a lot of understanding that has been misconstrued, but being a parent is making a replica of you. You love your children. Here's where we get in trouble. We end up loving our children more than we love Jesus. It's a tough place. Well, I'm called to love my children. Yeah, and you're loving them more than you love Jesus. If your children were to jump off a cliff, you jump right with them. You follow them wherever they go. You don't follow Jesus, you follow your kids. Come on, hear me. You got to get the discipleship mentality correct. Some of you are still following them and they are grown and you've had plenty of time, but you cannot make up now for what you didn't get done during the correct stages. And you need to know it. We have parents following their adult kids in darkness, trying to win them. It's now your child's choice, and you need to understand that that's where they are at. I understand that you didn't let them have consequences during the coaching, during the teaching stage. You didn't let them have the consequences. And now they're having them, and you're trying to keep them out of consequences now. You need to know that's not what friends do. No one wants to hear this. I get this. But we have to let our children's choices as an adult allow them to land where their choices deliver them. The prodigal son teaches on this, and I'm not going to get into this a lot tonight. I had a lot written about it, but I knew that time wouldn't allow me. So I'll just say that the dad in the story of the prodigal son didn't follow the prodigal son where he went. The dad stayed where he was. Come on, hear this. He reached him by being there for him, by praying for him, and being loyal to God. He wanted his son to come home. He longed for his son to come home, but he didn't go and live in hell with him. See, you just have to understand this. And so it hurts when your children go into lifestyles that are destructive. It hurts. So it doesn't matter what they are doing that you don't like. It doesn't matter. They are avoiding you because they don't want lectured. No one wants to be lectured. I'm a preacher and I don't want anybody preaching to me. Unless, now hear me, unless I ask for it.
Yeah.
Or I showed up a Sunday morning to hear one of the fivefold ministry, come on, speak into my life. And I placed myself in a position. And I'm going to get to more of that here in a second. They fear you judging them still as a child and judging them by their past. You start a conversation. You got to be careful about this, especially in this stage. And you say, yeah, you've just always been that way. You've always been that way. When you were 5, I remember you getting so mad. You've just always had a temper. You've always. This is a real blessing to a relationship. You just always. How would you like God to bring up how you used to be and what you used to do? See, the reason you walk with God is because He doesn't bring up your past.
Yeah.
And you wonder why your children don't want to walk with you. I'm just giving some real, probably zingers. But let's get into some real specifics. Your second page of your notes, I've got 8 points that I think I can get to here quickly tonight. Some quick advice with adult children being your friend. What do I do? Number 1, you take a sincere interest in their lives. A sincere interest in their lives. You be curious about their journey. You may not like what they're doing, and it wasn't what you had envisioned for them. It's not even what I launched them towards. But they're loving God and they're loving people. So if that's what you launched them towards, then whatever they're doing. You may not like it, but hey, it's their choice. So you take an interest in their life profession, in what they're invested in where they're vacationing, what they're involved in, and you have to be interested in their life. Now, that's the first one, and I've got to go through them quick. Second, you have to ask questions. Boy, this one helped me. When I was told this, I thought, man, I'm just not asking anything. I don't really think they want to tell me, so if they want to tell me, they'll tell me. No, I'm giving you a point here. Ask questions. Yeah. Ask questions. I know that I oftentimes only ask questions about areas or things that I'm interested in. I've been guilty of that my whole life. I may not be interested in some of what they're doing, but I'm interested in them. So, I want to build a life with them. Well, when they're doing life that's different than what I know, I need to ask questions so I do know. I have conversations with tons of people and ask questions, and then I'm working all day talking about interested in other people's lives and everybody that I am pastor with or I'm doing life with and all my friends, and then when it comes time to my kids, I find myself not having any questions to ask. You better be prepared before you get into a position to talk and communicate with them to have some questions. Yeah. So I've got a list of them that I'm asking all the time. How's this going? What are you doing right now? And I can get real specific with my questions, but you need to be specific with your questions. The areas of business, what they're doing in their life. And so it's important. So I live asking questions. Here's what happens. You get around your kids and you don't want to ask them questions because your whole life in the first 3 stages was answering their questions. So it's hard to make that transfer. I'm just answering questions. I don't want to ask them a question. I already know everything they need to know. I know that's a fight that you have to have, but let me give you something that'll help you. Jesus himself asked over 300 questions in the New Testament. You'll find a question mark in red letters over 300 times in Scripture. See, it's a God thing to ask questions. Maybe that'll help somebody. Help me. Adam, where are you? Think about it. God knew right where he was. You're going to ask questions you probably already know the answer to. But it opens up a conversation that you can both be on the same page about. So, get on the same page because you're answering questions and then you listen to them. Now, here's what happens. You ask a question and then you have to shut up. Number 3, do not lecture them. You had 18 to 20 years to get all your lecturing in. It's over. No more. Yeah, but I messed up. Yeah, and it's over. Yeah, I know you messed up. See, your grandchildren are your makeup test. Praise God. You should not be lecturing your adult children. We should not be lecturing our adult children. Number 4, give advice only when asked. I'm going to spend some time here. It's okay to be there for them. If they ask, go ahead. They ask. Give it. Adults ask for you to speak into them. And children, we lecture. Come on, are you hearing me? While I'm here, I'm going to add a couple things just because I think it's imperative in parenting to give you some of this. Only give advice when asked. Only give advice when asked. That's why I teach parenting. You may hear something from God's gift to the church through a teacher, a preacher. You may hear something as they're standing in front of you, like tonight. I'm a teacher, preacher that's equipping you to minister to your children, right? Everybody understands that's the equipping that's going on tonight. And so many people wait to hear it from a pulpit, and that's a good place to hear it. But you could have heard it a lot quicker. Oh, I just got to wait for parenting class and I'll know how to parent now. You missed it. Well, how did I miss it? Because I know that there are people that you could have asked a specific question to that's further down the road than you are. And if you had humbled yourself and been able to listen and got rid of some pride, you could have been in a different place. But you've never asked anyone. You say, well, yeah, I have asked if they see something in my parenting that I'm doing wrong, tell me. You know how hard that is for someone? I just want you to know if you see anything, you need to tell me. That's a difficult thing for a friend to do. It really is. To speak just off the cuff because you gave them permission. And they're going to speak off the cuff when it's on their head. When it's on their head is right when your child is messed up and you're not in a position at that point to hear it. So, ask specifically someone who's further down the road and say, hey, you've been over to my house. You have watched my children at church sitting in service. You've watched them after service. I want to know, what would you do different that I'm doing? Or what would you say you're doing a great job here with? I need to know. So tell me, you came over to my house, you went out to dinner with us, what did you see? See, you don't ask right at the time. You come back later after they've already had an opportunity to watch all that. They're further down the road, and I promise you they've seen something. Here's what happened. I heard someone teach that, and I asked Tim Brooks when my kids were younger. I said, listen, you've been with me most of this weekend. You've been at my home, and you've been watching, and I know that you've watched everything that went on. And so I want to ask you, what is it that I'm doing wrong that I could do better? You watched it all. So what did I do? You watched them in church. You've seen how they acted in church. You saw how they acted around our dining room table. You saw them here. You've seen what I've said. What could I have done better? I asked that question, and I had to take a seat because he started talking. And he said, you have said at least 3 times, if not 20, and you probably say it a lot more when I'm not even here, to your daughters that you're never getting married. And I just joke around and I just say, no, you're not ever getting married. You're my little girl. You're not ever going to get married. And I just make a little comment about it. And Tim sat me down and said, here's what I want you to know. They're going to get married. And they think that you don't want them to get married, so they're going to do everything behind your back. They'll be climbing out a window at night, and you won't even know. And I'm like, I don't know that I agree. And I sit there and I thought, I asked. And so I went back after praying about that and thinking about it and receiving what he had said. And I sat down with Tim and I said, or I sat down with my daughter. I remember sitting down with Tristan and Ashley and saying, will you forgive me? Because I have been saying that, and I want you to know I'm training you to be married. I want you to know that you're going to be a great wife one day. and your husbands will be glad, and they will thank me. And I just want you to know that I will never say, even joking again, what I said. You can ask my girls to this day how that point changed their whole trajectory of dating and boys because I gave them a right answer that I didn't even know I was missing. We have people who are not asking. And here's what's happening. You think you're doing great because nobody's telling you anything. They're not going to just tell you. They're not going to ruin a friendship. So you ask them. They're way ahead of you. What would you do here? What did you do? Are you getting this tonight? Come.
Good, Pastor.
Who is it that you have asked recently, parents? I want you to speak into my life. What is it that my child does when I come over to your house that I'm missing? I just hope you're hearing what I'm saying tonight. I'm not trying to attack anyone. I'm just trying to give some points that are truth. What do you see me at church doing with my child right now that I'm messing up with? I'm just telling you, we had that. Our kids were young and they were in church, and there was a kids' church going on, and our kids were in church. How did we handle that? We were in a church that kids walked up and down the aisle during service, and everybody laughed about it, and our kids were not allowed to. You know, we had 2 or 3 parents that came and said, hey, what are you doing? We want our kids to be more like that. They asked that question. Then years later, Michelle and I, in starting a church, that was 2 of the families, the first ones that called and said, hey, we're looking for a church. And we said, we just happened to start one. Well, we want some kids that kind of operate the way yours we were seeing there. And so I thought, all right, that's great. Well, here's what I can tell you. We had parents that we were asking above us to help us figure out, what would you do here? We asked all the time, so ask. 1 Peter 3, if someone asks, always be ready to give an answer. I'm ready when my kids ask my opinion. And every once in a while, they'll call Michelle and say, okay, here's what my daughter's doing. Here's what my son's doing. Here's what we're dealing with right now. What would you do? And man, when they say that, we are ready. But the rest of the time, we shut up. We're not imposing our will against theirs. We're loving God. We're loving people. We're modeling what we taught them to do. Number 5, the James 1:19 rule. Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. You cannot respond when you asked a question and they gave you an answer incorrectly. You have to apply this rule. Our kids are scared to tell us the truth as an adult because of what it will produce when they're with you. I don't want to talk to mom and dad about this. Why? Because they're not going to be happy about it. They're not going to be slow to speak, and they're not going to listen to what I'm trying to say. See, listen quick, listen quickly, and then slowly open your mouth.